Evening, everybody. We'll just give everyone a few minutes. Hi,
Hi,
hi, how are you?
I'm on my husband's computer. If you see
Ah,
Simon,
ah, brilliant, brilliant. Hello, good evening. Uh, Fantastic, great. Lovely to have so many of you here. We've about 50 or 60 people signed up to this call, so we're going to give everyone. Oh, hi, Linda. And Maggie May. Oh, she's gorgeous.
I'm just gonna on or turn off the video and the sound because I'll feed her and hopefully she goes to sleep. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'll turn this off now. I'll be back.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Hopefully, the sound of my voice will drift her off to sleep in no time. Brilliant. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, we're just going to give another minute or so to see who's going to join this call, and then we're going to get going straight away. You can have your camera on or off. It's always lovely to see faces when I'm presenting rather than blank boxes, but I totally understand if you need to have the camera off. That's absolutely cool. I do ask that when we start in a few minutes, we're going to get into a meditation just to help to relax and kind of let go of any stress from the day. And when we have that meditation going on, I might ask that you're all on mute for that. But for the rest of the call, please feel free to have yourself unmuted, ask questions. I want this to be a really informal, interactive presentation on the Celtic Wheel and all that it can do for you. So hopefully you'll get something from it. Hi, Ria. Great. Okay. Well, let's get going. Let's get into our meditation first because we have a lot to cover over the course of the hour. But my intention for this call is to show you a bit about the Celtic Wheel, which is why you're all here, why you've signed up, and also to really kind of give you information about your patterns, your habits, what the Celtic Wheel can do for you. So by the end of the hour, you've got some kind of tangible stuff in front of you going, okay, this is how I can apply the Celtic Wheel straight away. This is how I can make my life easier. This is how I can flow more. This is how I can connect with nature deeper. So that's my intention for the hour, and we should aim to finish up. We should hopefully finish up around 8:30. I have a few slides that'll keep me on track as well because it's so vast, the Celtic Wheel, that I can often easily go off in tangents, which of course I do not want to do. So those slides will keep me on point. But let's start. So I invite you all to get really comfortable wherever you are. Just make sure you're on mute. We're going to do the meditation first. You might want to have your pen and paper for later on and have that close to hand, but you'll have plenty of time to grab that after the meditation as well. Hi, Anne-Marie. Lovely to see you. Okay, I'm going to share some music here, play some music while we're doing this meditation. And this just helps to get us grounded, centered, kind of calm, so that we're in a space where we're less distracted by what's going on in our life and we're able to be more focused on the content of the Celtic Wheel as well. And it gives us just an opportunity to be in a place where we can hear more, where we can focus, and it's just nice to, at this time of the day, to be doing a meditation as well. Okay, if you're not already on mute, I ask that you go on mute and make yourself comfortable wherever you are. You can have your eyes open or your eyes closed. It's just going to be a very short meditation. Don't worry if you have no experience in meditation. Just close your eyes and follow along as best you can. I'm going to mute everybody. And so we have, yeah, great. Thank you all for showing up this evening. It's lovely to see you all. So take a couple of deep breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And once more. And out. Bringing your attention now to your body, to the body that's sitting in this chair or in this couch, or wherever it is that you're sitting. And bringing gentle awareness to the contact points between you, the chair, the couch, the floor. And just breathing in awareness of your body. As you breathe out, simply saying the words letting go. You're just letting go of your breath, you're letting go of your body as you breathe out. Breathing in awareness of your body. Breathing out, letting go. Breathing in. And breathing out, softening into that body. Seeing if you can relax it. If you can surrender the weight of your body to the chair. And if you can soften into those contact points, so loosening any tension. Your mind will wander, gently bring it back to your body right here, right now. Breathing in awareness. Breathing out, letting go. Breathing awareness into your face, your head, your brow, your jaw. And breathing out, letting go. Relaxing the jaw. Relaxing the frown lines. The eyes. Your cheeks. So breathing into the area of the head on the in-breath. Breathing out, softening, letting go. Breathing in awareness into the shoulders now. Feeling them from the inside out. Breathing out, letting go. Awareness now to the palms of your hands. And if you can sense any tingling or any sensations, heat or cold around your hands, your fingertips. Breathing out, relaxing your hands on your lap. Softening. Breathing in awareness now into the hips. Breathing out, melting, softening, letting go. Breathing in awareness to the soles of your feet. Breathing out, softening the soles of your feet. And setting an intention for yourself. About this next hour will be an hour of your self-care. For you to reflect with compassion on your cycles, with curiosity and kindness towards yourself. As you perhaps discover a pattern or behavior, and whatever it is that you find, that you hold it with compassion. So setting that intention. Be kind to yourself, whatever it is that you find. To be open and to be curious. And to give yourself permission to be here right now. There's nowhere else that you're meant to be. Right here, right now. Bring this brief meditation to a close by bringing some movements into your body, wiggling fingers or toes, opening your eyes when you're ready. Hello. Hi, Hazel. Lovely to see you. Okay. Ria, can you see that PowerPoint okay? Yeah, you can. Grant. If it doesn't go on to the next page soon, will you let me know? Okay. Celtic Wheel. Absolutely incredible tool. And this is what I want to share and impart with you over the course of the next 50 minutes or so. You might want to have pen and paper to hand. And really, what I ask you to be is what I mentioned in that meditation is curious as I give you this information on the Celtic Wheel, curious as to what it's showing you about your patterns, where you might get stuck, what you might need to do. But again, to hold whatever it is that you find in compassionate awareness. There's no point, if you find something here, there's no point beating yourself up, because that just keeps you stuck in a cycle of negative internal dialogue, and we all have enough of that. But it's to understand yourself with that kindness and just say, okay, that's really interesting. Maybe this is what I need to do. Maybe this is what I need to try. So just try and hold that in your awareness as we go through this. The Celtic Wheel. So I've mentioned already the agenda, what we're going to do, what you're going to go through, and hopefully by the end of the call, you're going to have a deeper understanding of yourself. That also that you'll get a sense of what the Celtic Wheel is all about, and also have ways that you can get yourself unstuck when you get stuck in life. So what is the Celtic Wheel? I'm sure most of you have heard of the Celtic Wheel before. It is the cycle of 8 festivals or days in the Celtic calendar. So thousands of years ago, our ancestors lived by this calendar. This is ancient. This is in our DNA. And most of us actually know the Celtic calendar. We just wouldn't have seen it in this format before. We've all heard about solstices and equinoxes, and we've all heard about Bealtaine and Lughnasa or Lammas. And there's another word for some of these dates for the English one if you're from overseas. But we've all heard of these dates, but we don't actually understand how they flow together and how relevant that is in our life. And our ancestors lived according to this wheel, and they used this wheel to show them when to rest, which was wintertime, when to sow seeds, which is springtime, when to first begin the harvest, which is autumn time, kind of the end of summer into autumn time, and when to rest again. They lived according to this calendar. They didn't have Monday to Friday. They didn't have January to December. They lived according to this. And evidence of this wheel is found in cultures all over the world. So it's not just the Celtic culture. There's other wheels to do with other cultures around the world. It starts with Samhain. Samhain is generally around November 7th, and that's known as Celtic New Year. Everything starts in the darkness. You know, the first seed is planted in the darkness. Hence, we say if there is to be a start of this cycle, it starts in November, and then it moves through winter solstice, Imbolc, which is what we're in right now, moving towards spring equinox. That's the springtime, coming into Bealtaine, summer solstice, as you all know, in June, Lughnasa in August, autumn equinox coming into September, and Samhain back again into November. That is one full cycle of the wheel. But there's many layers to it. And every time you cycle through a layer, you learn something else, because it's just going, everything is cyclical. The points to note, okay, there's 8 major days. The main ones are the solstices and the equinoxes, and then we have the cross-quarter days, Imbolc, Samhain, Bealtaine, and Lughnasa. Each of those days are approximately 6 weeks apart. And if nothing else, what the Celtic calendar is for us is an opportunity to pause every 6 weeks and to reflect and to see what's working in our life and what's not working in our life, because each of those days has reflection points. It has, sorry, I'm just muting, there's a bit of background noise coming in there, sorry. It has rituals associated with it. It has reflective questions associated with it. It has gods and goddesses associated with, elements associated with it. It has ceremonies associated with it. There's loads associated with each of those dates. But if nothing else, it is that opportunity to stop every 6 weeks and go, hold on a second. Okay, is my life working? Are there changes that I need to bring in? Am I doing too much or too little? What most needs my intention? And in that way, then, it's such a valuable tool for us to co-create with nature, to stop and pause as nature is, align with it through its wisdom. And we're co-creating, but we're also intentionally showing up in our life by doing that reflection. And we find then that because we are reflecting, we're making some small changes that allows us to live a life that's in alignment with who we are, rather than what I did for years and years and years is get from one end of the year to the next, got to December 31st, and then went, oh my God, where did the year go? I can't actually remember half of it. And was I just letting it happen to me rather than being involved in it? And that's what one of the gifts of the wheel is that you really are involved in your life. You're very much intentional and reflective with it as well. Now, while Mother Earth goes through one of these cycles in 365 days, Samhain from November 7th right through to November 7th, we go through these cycles in every moment of the day. We go through it in a breath, in a project, in a holiday, in an idea, in a phase of a relationship. We go through it all the time. And so as we kind of understand the teachings of the Celtic Wheel as Mother Earth goes through it, so as we understand spring now, spring Imbolc and spring equinox, we can apply those teachings to any time we go through spring. And the spring is the beginning of anything new. So the beginning of a relationship, beginning of a project, beginning of an idea of a holiday, that's all springtime. And we go through that all the time, like maybe not every day, but maybe every couple of weeks, we go through that spring. So we're constantly going through this cycle. And that's why this is so relevant and so practical for our life. Let's give you some examples, everyday examples. Dinner reservation. Say you decide that you want to go out for dinner. Winter is the time where nothing happens. So the period of time before coming up with the concept of going out for dinner is the winter. You're not even thinking about going out for dinner, but you're just happily plodding along in your life. Then you have the idea, oh, I'd love to go out for dinner. And you might turn to your partner, your husband, or your friend and go, let's go out for dinner. That's spring. First idea, first germination, first inkling of something. Then you go on okay, right, what type of dinner do you want to go out for? Where do you want to go? What did you enjoy the last time? You have a little bit of a conversation. That's, again, all the planning stage. That's spring. Then the actual act of going out for your meal, enjoying it, ordering, having something nice to eat, maybe having a drink with that, whatever it is, that is summer. That's the height of it. It's the manifestation of your work, of your planning, summertime. Then as you finish off your dessert, you get the bill, you're getting ready to go home. That's the autumn time when the event is coming to a close. And then you go home and you might have the conversation of, oh, what did you enjoy about that? Did you like the location? Did you like the service? Did you like the food? The reflection time, that's winter time. So that's a cycle of the Celtic Wheel through the example of a dinner reservation. Same for a holiday. You might now at the moment be in the middle of planning your holidays. That's a real springtime, and we're in spring, of course, as well. The actual planning of it, all of that spring energy, the booking of it and the going on it when you're packing your bags and you're actually at the airport or you're on the boat or you're going down the country, you're in the car, that's coming into summertime. And then as the holiday wraps up, that's coming into autumn time, and then the end of the holiday, that's winter time. So as I'm going through these examples, you might be even just take a note yourself. Are there any part of that experience of going out for dinner that you don't enjoy? or any part that you really, really do enjoy that you like to just continue that holiday forever and never have to come home. Just take a note of that, because that's going to make sense later on. Same, you probably understand now the cycle of it and how it works, but to give you another example of a project in work, somebody comes to you with an idea and says, right, we want to initiate this project, I want you to be involved in it. Again, planning stages, spring, the consulting with people, the looking at the roadmap of how it's going to be, the actual manifestation of it again is the summer energy, and then the lessons learned and the celebration of the completion of the project, lessons learned and all that is autumn into winter. Okay, I hope this is making sense. If it's not, if you have questions, please do ask me, because I know for some of you this might be very new, and I know it can be a lot to get your head around. So stop me if I'm going too fast or you got questions about it. Breaths. The breath is another one that goes through a cycle as well, because when you think about when we breathe out at the end of that out breath, there's a pause before we breathe in again. And that pause will be considered winter. There's nothing happening. There's a stillness. There's a silence. Nothing's really going on. And then we start to breathe in, that's the spring, height of the in-breath is summer, and then the beginning of the exhalation is autumn, right down into that winter phase again. And when you begin to see this cycle, you'll see it in absolutely everything. It's constantly there in every moment of the day. Point to note, though, is it's not one cycle and then it's over. Sometimes there can be multiple cycles. So I always get a great question with this about relationships. And people say, well, if I meet somebody, okay, that's the spring energy, the heightened energy. It's a great excitement, the manifestation where you're falling in love. The autumn into winter isn't the end of the relationship. What it is the end of that phase of relationship. So if you've ever been in the honeymoon phase of a relationship, the autumn winter will be the end of that particular kind of heightened energy of everything's amazing, everything's wonderful. But then it's to cycle into the winter, but to also cycle back up into the spring and go through that rotation again. And relationships, whether they're friendships or romantic relationships, are continuously going through that cycle. And we encounter problems when we try and stop that cycle, when we try and stay, for example, in the honeymoon phase, and it's well gone, it's well over. But it's wanting to rotate into a better, more meaningful connection that might be a little bit quieter in its intensity, but it is still, it's a deeper connection. So this cycle is always working for you, but it's many, many cycles. Like the breath is many cycles, 10,000 cycles a day. Our relationships are always going through cycles. And sometimes coming into the winter of a relationship does mean an ending, but it's always because it's for us, it's right for us to come into that ending. But most of the time it is going through that winter phase so that it can come back up into spring and be reborn again and go into the next phase of the relationship. So winter does not always mean, sometimes it does, but doesn't always mean the ending of something. It just means the ending of that particular phase before you go back into the next cycle again. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so far, any questions with that? Okay. So the value of working with the Celtic Wheel, not only does it give you so much information about yourself, but it also shows you where you're forcing things, where you might be trying to control things, where you might be trying to push things. So it gives you a guide on how to live your life. But also what it does is it helps you to awaken your connection to nature. And I think after COVID and after the last couple of years, we've all have a deeper connection with nature. If you're feeling bad, go out and have a walk in nature, or go out and sit and feel the air or the amazing light at this time of year on your skin. It just makes you feel so much better. And people are really understanding that. The amount of women that are down and men that are down in the sea swimming every day or under the full moon is incredible. And people are really understanding we have this incredible force around us, and it's showing us so much at the moment. So it really helps us to awaken to nature and to awaken to life. And when we live our life according to the wheel and co-creating with nature, from my experience anyway, you find deeper meaning and connection in the simplest of things: a sunrise, a sunset. You still enjoy, of course, all the material things in life, but deep joy comes from even seeing now the buds appearing on the trees and things coming up, you know, the crocuses coming up and breaking surface of the earth to show us their beauty and splendor. So you get so much more connection and meaning and fulfillment from what's happening around us all the time. And also this, you know, in a time where we might not have so much connection with religion, the Celtic wheel, while it's not a religion in any way because it's nature, is a lovely way for us to connect to something that has purpose and meaning, to give us a guide, to give us help, to help us to, as I said, live and flow and harmony as well. And also the great thing about nature is it has no agenda. So whatever you see, whatever you find in the reflection or the rituals or the practices is whatever you need to see. You know, your nature isn't trying to make you make a certain decision or guide you in a certain way. It's just there, and we see in it whatever it is that we need to see for us. It mirrors back to us what we're trying, what our soul, what our higher self is, or our subconscious is trying to show us. So it's a wonderful way for us to connect with ourselves as well as with nature. And also, it's wonderful to be working with something that's thousands of years old, that's in our DNA, in our culture, and our heritage as well. So there's so much value in working with the Celtic wheel. But as I said, you can keep it on a surface level where you just use it as every 6 weeks. I'm going to pause and reflect on these days, or you can take it as deep as you want, or you can keep it to whatever level feels comfortable for you. Okay. We're going to delve a little bit more into each of the 8 days, because it's in here that you're going to find kind of ways that you can find to unstick yourself the wisdom, the guidance, and what you need to do at those particular times of the year as well. If any of you have been following me on social media, excuse me, I've been talking about 2 kind of fictional characters, excuse me, Lucy and Pat, and they really depict the wisdom of the Celtic wheel. And let me briefly run through both of them. Excuse me, I'm just going to cough for a second because, sorry, something got caught. Lucy first. Lucy is, and you might recognize yourself in some or both of these stories. And Lucy is a very motivated, outgoing, gregarious, confident woman. And she is all about results and manifests a lot in work. And she's given a lot of projects that need to be delivered by a certain time frame. Lucy is brilliant at manifesting. She's really good at creating these projects, but lately she started making mistakes. What's happening with Lucy is that she's been given an idea, she's been given a concept, which is Samhain winter solstice. You know, that's silence, and then suddenly you're given something. It's more winter solstice into Imbolc. She's given an idea. But what happens with Lucy is that she goes straight from the beginning of Imbolc, which is that spring energy, straight into summer solstice, into I need to get this delivered ASAP. I want to beat my target, my deadline. I just want to get to the results. She completely misses Imbolc spring and spring equinox. And what that means for her on a very practical level is she misses out on the planning stages and she starts making mistakes. Because she starts making mistakes, that affects her confidence levels. And because her confidence levels are shook, her anxiety creeps up. So we sit down and look at the Celtic wheel, and through just gentle questioning, she's able to decipher straight away that I don't actually spend enough of time in Imbolc spring equinox. I don't spend enough of time thinking about what it is that I need to deliver, how I need to deliver it, who I need to get to help me to make those deliverables, what's a feasible, easy timeline for me to create this project. Is there anything that I'm not seeing outside the bigger picture? Is there anybody else that I need to draft in? She just needs to spend a bit more time in those planning stages, because by creating those steps, those very kind of grounded and methodical steps and that timeline for herself, she knows exactly where she stands, and she's able to deliver, not in the same timeline, maybe a couple of days later, but what she's delivering is much more well thought out, has less mistakes, is much more successful, and is much more, it's a better product. So through the Celtic Wheel, Lucy was able to see, right, I need to spend more time on planning. Pat, on the other hand, could see that he loves planning. He loves a details kind of guy. He loves spreadsheets. He loves putting things down. He loves ticking things off. Really, really good at spring. Loves, again, summer solstice, you know, Beltana energy, manifesting, loves everything, everybody working together, creating these incredible projects. Huge success, great celebration afterwards, which is autumn energy, is the celebration after, but doesn't like winter. Doesn't like winter physically, doesn't like November, December, January. It's his least favorite time of year, and doesn't like winter whenever it shows up in his life. Doesn't like nighttime, doesn't like, as I said, winter months, doesn't like the end of the project when he has nothing to do. He likes to jump from autumn, which is the celebration after the project is ended, straight back into spring. All right, put it another way, Pat, if he was coming home from a holiday, would already be planning the next holiday. Wouldn't be waiting, spending any time in winter, waiting, thinking about it for a while. No, he'd be straight into planning it. And that's where a lot of people get stuck, actually, is winter, because we all have an aversion to winter because we feel that winter is it's an invitation to rest and renew, and a lot of us do not like doing that at all. We don't see the value in it, but we'll delve into that a little bit more. So there are just two ideas of how, on an everyday basis in work, these patterns can show up and show us what we need to see. So hopefully at the moment you're getting some ideas about where you might get stuck, and what kind of you might want to delve into a little bit more, what you might want to work on. Again, like I've mentioned there, Pat doesn't like winter. Lucy doesn't like spring, but she kind of wants us to go from winter straight through to summer. Doesn't really have much patience for spring. And that was the same thing that was reflected in her work kind of timeline. She wasn't good at planning. But for now, what I'd like you to write down even is to think about, do you like winter, spring, summer, or autumn? Conversely, because winter is nighttime, spring is the morning energy, summer is the lunchtime energy, autumn is the evening energy. Even thinking what's your most favorite time and what's your least favorite time of the day, of the year, even of the elements, because there's different elements associated with the seasons as well, the Celtic Wheel. So winter time is associated with earth, springtime is associated with air. The air feels different at the moment. Summertime is associated with fire because there's so much light, there's so much sunshine, and autumn is associated with water because it's all about that letting go. And as you identify those areas that you most like, this can often identify the areas that you want to stay in, where you resist the flow of the Celtic Wheel. So for Pat, he loved the manifestation. He loved projects being delivered. He loved seeing the fruits of his labor. And he did not want to move into winter, autumn and winter. He resisted it. So he sprung straight from autumn, straight into spring again. So for you as well, do you do that? Do you have a favorite time of year that you just want to stay in? Do you just want to stay in summer and manifest all the time? Or do you want to stay in winter and just hibernate all the time? Or maybe you just want to be in the planning stages and that's where you want to be. Again, this is reflecting with compassion, because as you understand the cycles, you understand yourself. And this is just about bringing awareness to what your cycles are. You don't have to do anything else but understand yourself at the moment, because some of the remedies will be coming up shortly. Okay, all of that making sense, I hope. Okay, let's dig into each one in particular in sequence. Winter. Winter starts with Samhain, November 7th, through to winter solstice, through to Imbolc, which is the 1st of February. That is a time, it's associated with the direction of the North Star, the Northern Lights. We look to the north. If there's a compass on the wheel, this will be pointing up to the north. Winter is the death phase. Always really popular when I say that. Everyone's like, no wonder I don't like winter. It's the death phase. You see that nature is dying all around you, but life begins in the darkness. Something must end for something to start to grow again. There is so much value in winter that we really do not tap into. because we need to rest, we need to replenish, we need to renew and fill up our energy. We need to dream as well. We don't spend any time daydreaming. So nighttime, now we're coming into the winter phase of the day. This is a great time to daydream. And often the most creative people in the world, the absolute, Edison and Einstein and all these great figures were all talked about how their greatest ideas came in those moments when they were doing nothing. They weren't trying to figure things out. They weren't trying to solve problems. It came when they were doing nothing. And that's where inspiration hits, is in the winter time. And we need to create space to allow that inspiration to come, that spark to come. Because when you think, you were conceived in the darkness as well. You were conceived when the sperm and the embryo came together. There was a spark of inspiration, spark of life that came and that created you. You're a creative being. And the same way in wintertime, we have an opportunity to pause, to reflect, to see what's worked this year, what hasn't, but to create space to allow us to dream. And really, when you spend time in your winter phase, and you could be cycling through a winter phase of something right now, just because we're in Imbolc at the moment doesn't mean that in one area of your life you're not going through winter. You can be going through them all at different stages. But if you can really rest at this time, at the time of winter, then that will resource you for the rest of the year. I had a client the other day, and he was saying he just gave himself permission in January to do nothing. He was in a very fortunate position where he could do that, where it was quiet in work. And he allowed himself to go and just to read on a beach for an afternoon. And he allowed himself to go for walks. And he was fortunate, very fortunate to be able to do that. But he said in that month of allowing himself to do very little, he now felt that he was able to start this new job that he was going into as well. And that's the value of winter. So the guidance and the wisdom of it is reflect, renew, honor your ancestors. Samhain would be seen as traditionally to be, that's why Halloween is there. It's actually a time when we talk about our ancestors, we remember our ancestors, we thank them for living because they allowed us to be here. So there's lovely rituals that are underneath the surface of this, but I want to keep it up to just the guidance and the practical wisdom of these days. That's winter. Everything begins at winter. From winter then into Imbolc, which is generally Bridget's Day, 1st of February, through to the spring equinox, which is the 23rd of March, varies every year, but in and around the 23rd of March is spring. And you can see spring at the moment. It's a time to awaken, it's a time to assess, it's a time to plan. It's all about new beginnings. You can see the light of this time of year. There's a stretch in the evening. There's extra 3 minutes a day. There's potentiality. There's hope. There's planning. But there's also a kind of warning from nature is you're not jumping into it. You're not going to do too much too quickly. This is still that planning phase. What do I want to accomplish this year? What do I want to break through? How am I going to get out of my comfort zone? When you look at the flowers and the plants at the moment, they're getting out of their comfort zone. They've been working away and germinating under the earth, and now they're breaking through. They're breaking into the light. So we're invited to break out of our comfort zone and to stretch into our light, being more of who we are. So this is a really beautiful, beautiful time of year. There's so much to see in nature. There's so much for us to, there's so much medicine for us. There's so much guidance for us as well. But it's to be mindful of not doing too much. Remember, don't knee jerk into summer, stay in spring. The metaphor for this would be the tortoise, not the hare. Small, slow steps, not jumping in straight into action. So if you don't like spring, or if you find that you jump from that winter, like Lucy did, straight into summer, spring would be a time, would be an invitation now for you to really, the next time that you can, whether in work or in your life, whatever small example shows up for you, whatever idea that you have in planning of anything, that you slow yourself down and you actually force yourself or invite yourself gently to spend more time in that planning phase and see what that's like for you and see what happens as a consequence of that. Because most of us, I know I certainly love going from, if you gave me an idea, I'd love to manifest it in half an hour. That's the kind of person I am. But in actually slowing down, you find that you can actually, you can bring much more, and you can have a much deeper experience as well. And it can be a completely different, a different kind of manifestation, I suppose, for you, for want of a better word. Okay, so we've been through winter and spring. Now we come into summer. Again, summer happens at the height of a breath, at the manifestation of a project, at that meal, you're on the meal, you're enjoying it. It also happens physically in the world through Bealtaine, which is normally around the 1st of May through to summer solstice, the 21st of June. What do you associate with this time of the year but light? So much light. Everyone's out. You're out in the evening time. There's so much light. It might be light until 11 o'clock at night. The sun is really high in the sky. It's just all go, 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 go. It's action, and it's a time to act. It's time to focus on what you want. And Shakespeare has a lovely quote, and he says, whatever is dreamt on this night will come to pass. Its magic is in the air. It is all about abundance. It's all about celebration. You know, you're really enjoying that meal. You're having a great time on that holiday. You're in the height of the experience, and you're really feeling that life. How you know you're in summer is that you're feeling it, you're feeling confident, you've high energy, you're full of life, you're in action, and you're manifesting as well. This is a really tempting one to stay at. But if you stay too long in summer, or you resist the wheel that's going to pull you down into, not down, but pull you into the next phase of autumn, you will burn out. And lots of people get sick around summer solstice because they're doing too much. It's just so tempting because there's so much light and there's so much happy energy around that we just keep doing things. But it really is time to look after yourself in summer solstice and Bealtaine. And then autumn. Autumn comes with Lughnasa. Now, I know a lot of people kind of argue with this or don't like this every year, because Lughnasa is the 1st of August. And I get so many emails from people going, oh, it's not autumn, it's only the 1st of August. And the Celtic Wheel is saying this is the first signs of autumn. This isn't autumn. Autumn doesn't come till more or less September, but it's the first signs of autumn. And you notice that, don't you? Like when you're in August. Now, of course, if you're in the southern hemisphere, these dates are reversed. But for the northern hemisphere, 1st of August, you're beginning to notice the lights fading. There is a little bit, maybe an hour extra of light a day. You can feel a change in the air. You can feel it turning as well. This is a time to be grateful, to celebrate. Again, this one's often missed in our cycles because we're so busy. After we've manifested something, we're straight on to the next project. And autumn is the pat on the back. It is the whoop whoop, I've achieved that goal. It is the dancing. It is whatever, the chinking of glasses to say, wow, we did that, we created it. And it's such a vitally important step in all aspects of our life, because it gives us the confidence, it gives us the positive feedback, it gives us the celebration, the moment, and that really enhances our that confidence, and it really gives us a sense of I can do this. But it's a celebration as well. It's a celebration of gratitude, of thanks to yourself, to other people maybe who helped you, to the world, that you've manifested this thing, that you've had this lovely dinner. Maybe you chink glances at the end and just go, wow, thanks a million, that was amazing. Or, you know, you celebrate that project in work, or you have a dance at the end of a holiday just to say thank you, that was brilliant, I loved it. But having some way to stop and mark and give thanks for it's the reason why it's Thanksgiving, I suppose, is in autumn time as well, is to say thank you to whoever, to whatever you believe in, for all the things that you have in your life, or for whatever it is, the cycle that you've been through there. So it's really lovely time. It is that evening time. It's a time to surrender and trust again, which is another medicine, another invitation of autumn that we tend to resist. We like to control and hold on and stay somewhere. But autumn is inviting us to surrender, let go, and trust. And there's many, many teachings around that as well. But it's mostly around harvest and gratitude. The harvest time. Lughnasa is the first signs of the harvest. So what are you harvesting? It is a time to trust, and keep trusting, and to know and to really begin to lean into the fact that everything is cyclical and everything comes to an end. But that's not bad, because coming to an end means that it's going to start again. Something else is going to come in, because that's the nature of life. Everything's cyclical. Nothing is linear. There's no beginning and end. Everything is cyclical, and it goes through this. And when we trust that, we can let go. How you know you're in autumn? You're at the end of something. There can be a sense of a plateau. Things become boring or routine. There's less action and more space. You might feel unsettled. And you can see why. We might not want to be here for too long, or we might resist being in autumn and Lughnasa as well. They are the 4 kind of seasons, our main turnings of the wheel of the year so far. Are they kind of making sense for you? Are you getting to identify where you might be stuck, where you might want to stay in? If you have any kind of understanding of that, you might want to put it in the chat, what you like and what you don't like. Or if you have any questions about your own patterns, cycles, please do unmute yourself and ask, or also type it. I'd love to hear from you, because it's great when you hear people's examples, because it helps to make it clearer for everybody. I'll just leave it open if anybody wants to ask. Or okay, well, feel free to put something in the chat if you want to. I'm just going to move on to the next slide. Okay. Thinking about that, and thinking about everything that we've talked about and the questions that I've asked, I'm going to ask you to even read through the list and see if any of these make sense to you now. What best describes you? Oh, sorry, I'll go to the chat for a moment. Lovely, brilliant. Okay, great. I always knew I love winter. I need to stay in spring. Oh, brilliant. Somebody who loves winter. This is fantastic. Thank you, Anne-Marie. You're the first person I've met who loves winter, and need to stay in spring later. It can be the one that's most common to leapfrog over and get straight into it. And Linda, I love the idea of celebrating the end of a holiday instead of spending the last day being depressed. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, that is very true. We all do that, don't we? Okay, brilliant. Keep your comments coming. I love to hear them. Thank you so much. What best describes you? Okay, these might start making sense to you now after everything that I've been through over the last 40 minutes or so. I find change stressful. I like things to remain the same. That's autumn. If we don't, and it's also the transition points. If we like to stay with things exactly as they are, autumn is the real change season. And you can see that in the air, can't you? Where the leaves begin to change color, the trees are pulling in the resources, and that's what causes the leaves to change color. And there's a real change in the air. There's a change in everything. So autumn might be at times, next time you're in the autumn phase of something, you might really want to lean into that celebration piece. Like Linda was saying, celebrating the end of the holiday rather than being depressed that it's over. Just check that. Oh, great. Brilliant. I'm getting a lot of sense. Fantastic. I find it hard to come up with new ideas. Again, that's spring. Sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to come up with the ideas, and we want to go again from winter into summer. But spring is daydreaming. It's putting pen to paper and giving yourself lots of time and space to just doodle and dawdle and see what comes up. And eventually something will come up. You just need to spend longer in that spring energy. I find it hard to let go and move on. Again, that's autumn time as well. It's that surrendering and trusting. So autumn will have a lot of medicine for you. If you find that you don't reflect after a project is over, like Pat, winter time, winter reflection, what worked, what didn't work. Now, all of the eight dates are reflection, but winter time especially is about really pulling the duvet up, getting the blanket and reflecting. I burn out regularly. That's summer. That's if somebody is stuck in summer. I'd like to take more care of my energy levels, but I find it hard to stop doing. So if you know anybody who's constantly on the go, that doesn't see any value in rest or finds it hard to rest, if you rest, you lose, I heard, is there, or no, if you rest, you rust. Somebody said that to me as their mantra a number of years ago, and I thought it was brilliant. And that was a real typical summer person. If you rest, you rust. no value in winter. But what kept happening for her is she just kept getting sick, But that was her mantra, and that's what she wanted to stick to. But if she wanted to change that, she could actually begin to see some of the value in the other seasons as well. I know what I need to do. I just find it hard to get motivated. That can be somebody who wants to stay in winter, but might be putting themselves under pressure to move out of spring. They mightn't be ready to move out of winter for that area of their life. But it's about having patience and letting the cycle, because it will generally want to bring them into spring, or starting again with that daydreaming, putting pen to paper that can help to prompt you to move on to spring. I don't like when I have nothing to do. I like to always be active. Sorry, that is summer, not winter. That's a typo in there. Change that. Again, that's very similar to burnout regularly. And I rarely celebrate when something works out. Like, big thing I think we all do, don't we? No, we find it very hard to celebrate. That's autumn time. Okay. So in summary, the Celtic Wheel gives you a practical tool. It's ancient, it's never-ending cycles, and it deepens your connection with nature, with life, and with yourself as well. From here, what I would suggest is a number of things. First, identify where you are at. Where are you at in the cycle of growth right now? You might want to take your work situation, or you might want to take your own personal growth. You might want to take your relationship. You might want to take your health or your well-being, or you might want to take all of them and see where all of them are at in that cycle. While one might be, you might be coming to the end of a project in work, which means you're going into winter, or it might also mean that you're starting something new in your wellness, which means you're coming into spring. So you can be in different phases in different areas of your life. You could be getting on really amazingly well with your partner at the moment, and that's summertime as well. So again, these cycles can be coming up as different in different phases in different areas of your life, but identifying where they are and then asking yourself, what's your intuition? What's your soul self whispering to you? Is it a case of, oh, I need to just celebrate all of this right now? Or do I need to let things be? Or am I trying to force things? Am I staying stuck somewhere? What is my soul self whispering to you right now? And what guidance is the wheel and your soul self offering you right now? Then also what you can do is just observe with compassion, be curious about your habits and patterns over the next couple of days, and seeing where using it as a tool of feedback of, okay, was that winter? Was that spring? Was that summer? Where am I liking? What is that autumn? Again, when you observe, you become aware of your patterns and you become aware of your habits. And when you become aware of these things, that's when you can bring in some of the medicine or some of the tools that you have in your toolbox to help you to change those patterns if they're not working for you. Surrender. Whatever cycle you're in, trust that you will move through it, because nature moves through it. You're going to move through it at some point or another. And you can move through it kicking or screaming, or you can move through it happily floated or pushed along the river by life to the next phase. Compassion, yeah, really big part of this. We're human first, and while we might have all of this awareness about the cycles of life, you're human first and foremost, and we forget this stuff on a regular basis, and then we remember again. I'm going to send you a PDF with a copy of this Celtic Wheel with some of the reflections and how you know you're in autumn, how you know you're in summer, how you know you're in spring, and some of the reflections, the questions that you can use at each of those phases. So if you identify in your life where you are within that wheel, then you can use these reflections to help you kind of find out more about what's needed most in that area as well. So you have all of that to help you keep you focused. And I'm just finishing up on time. I can't believe it. There's a lot of information there. How is that sticking with you? Does that make sense? I know some of you are saying in the chat that it is. If you like this kind of information, you want to know more about the Celtic Wheel and what it can do for you, then I do have a Soul Seekers Club that every month or every 6 weeks, we go into each of those wheels in depth, and you get workbooks, and we do some lunar cycle stuff as well. So it's all about connecting with nature and all about harnessing her wisdom. And also I have a retreat coming up in a couple of weeks that is also aligned to the Celtic Wheel. But yeah, let's open it up for any kind of comments or questions now. I know I've been asking as we go, but I give anybody want to come off mute and ask anything? I know it can feel intimidating to do that, but you're very welcome to. Okay, well, I'm available by email. You all have my contact details now. If you have questions after this, please email me and let me know what you thought about it, what you kind of insights you got from it, any understandings that you have about yourself as a result of the Celtic Wheel. I'd love to hear from you. This recording is going to be available tomorrow. I'll send it around and you can refresh yourself on the content of this, as well as I'll send you the PDF along with the recording probably tomorrow morning at this stage. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to let you all go. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I hope you got something from it. I really do. Fantastic. I will have more. I'll have more free events online in the next couple of weeks, probably around after spring equinox anyway, after I'm back from retreat. So keep an eye out for those kind of things. And if there's something particular that you'd love to know more about that's related to all of this, please do let me know, and I can happy to put on a call like this for it as well. This stuff is just so valuable, and I think it's just so nice at this time for us all to awaken our connection to nature, because when we fall in love with nature, we want to take care of it and we want to interact with it, and the planet needs it right now as well. So on so many levels, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for wanting to deepen your connection to something ancient and amazing, and to nature as well. So have a wonderful evening, everybody, and hopefully I'll see you all soon, somewhere on some format. Night, everybody. Thank you. Bye.